Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the VML. We're sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. We are here for week 7 of season 12. Joining me is my co host Kuro on the expert role for the evening. Just to give you a heads up, if you're new here, we are an 11 week long MTGA league, which showcases the talents of amazing people of marginalized genders within the Magic community. This is our 12th season. This is week 7. We had a total of 188 oh my gosh, words, 128 players this season, divided up into 16 divisions. We're at our final round robin, the 7th week of play. Next week will be our wild card round. But yeah, and then after that, we'll cut to the top 32, then the top 16, and then we'll have the finals where we have the top 8 play, the top 4, and then the final game to decide who is the winner of season 12. So, what are these people playing for? In addition to cash prizing, the top 16 get qualifier weekend badges, and the top 8 get RC invites, and they get to compete in our capstone event, the VML Championships, where the top 8 players from seasons 11, 12, and 13 duke it out, and the top 2 players will receive invitations to the Pro Tour, the epitome of Magic competitive play. We're sending them there. It's going to be great. So, uh, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna roll into our metagame breakdown. Kuro, please tell us a bit about what people can expect in today's matches.
So if you'll notice here, we have a lot more variety. Last week we had really big wedges. We had a little bit less diversity. This week people seem to be taking their strategies that they want to take in. They want to be a little more creative with it. They want to sort of uh, find a weakness of the opposing deck that might be more of a tier deck and saying, I'm going to play something that is a little bit less meta, or I'm going to play something that's a little bit of a variation of something that is meta, and I'm going to try to get past a more established strategy. And so you'll see here that our top 3 decks, Temur, Analyst, Esper, Midrange, and Boros Convoke, all very well established decks. But after that, it sort of tapers off, and the number of decks after that, oh man, there's a wide variety. We have some aggro, we have some poison, we have legends, we have domain, we have a lot of mid range. My baby Azorius Control is relegated to 4th place in terms of frequency. Very sad for me. And you see all of those little wedges there, all single decks. We could go over every one, but it would take the entire night. Um, I'm most excited to see how this is all going to play out.
All right. Well, let's roll into our first match of the evening, shall we? All right. We have Paige Smith on Boros Convoke. So tell us a little bit about Boros Convoke. It's one of the meta decks. What is it? Top three, third best one this week.
Yeah, so Boros Convoke is a very standard aggro deck. You have a bunch of 1 mana creatures that come down very quickly, so you have a board presence early. You can make a lot of artifact tokens with Novice Inspector and Voldaren Epicure, and you can use Gleeful Demolition to essentially get 3/1/1 tokens for free. Combined with Imodane's Recruiter, able to give everything haste and a massive +1/+0, along with Sanguine Evangelist to give everything else +1/+0, Knight Errant of Eo, so you can convoke and draw even more cards, and Case of the Gateway Express to allow yourself to get that damage online on your opponent's creatures. The name of this deck I really like it is called A Human, a Vampire, and 3 Phyrexian Goblins Walk onto a Train. Clearly a reference to the case here. And a really strong sideboard too for some of these options of matchups.
Yeah, I just want to shout out that Paige apparently started this season 0-2, and she has fought her way back to 4-2 and is still in contention for making it to the wild card round. So great job, Paige. That I know that can be really difficult, and you know, wishing you good luck tonight. We'll see how it goes. And next, Paige's opponent. We have Ryan on Bant Toxic. Want to tell us a little bit about this
So
toxic deck?
So, as per the name of this deck, Ryan has decided that they are going to be the problem today. Bant Toxic, another sort of meta deck. We have, again, a bunch of one mana creatures: Crawling Chorus, Skrelv, and Venerated Raw Priest. Very easy toxic enablers with a bunch of spells that are in the back burner to make it a little easier to tempo out your opponent. The red white aggro is playing to damage, whereas Toxic doesn't is not counting to 20, they're counting to 10. And it's a lot easier to get stuff that get that 10 if you're able to target your own creatures with things like March of Swirling Mist, Reasonable Doubt, and Getaway Glamour. All a bunch of new seeing a bunch of new cards that we don't normally see, a little less proliferate, but a little more spicy spice, as we might say.
Kuro, in this matchup, both of these decks, they tend to go pretty aggressive. When you have Bant only trying to count to 10, whereas Convoke has to count to 20 with damage, both of them tend to move pretty quickly. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, I think a lot of it's going to be based on what happens in the first 3 turns. If Bant Toxic is able to get the edge over the Boros tokens that list, then the Toxic is going to be such a threat. However, Boros tokens is extremely explosive and blocks so much better than Bant Toxic. It makes more tokens and it can be a lot more explosive with, especially with Imodane's Recruiter. I'm wondering this Bant Toxic deck, unfortunately, one of its biggest weaknesses is that it doesn't block very well. The creatures don't get bigger than 1 power. So as long as the Boros tokens deck is able to overpower that, it's going to have a hard time.
Yeah, maybe that scroll will be used to give some protection, to push some damage through. But it's going to be an interesting matchup. So why don't we jump right into the first game?
Splash.
All right. Oh, these starting hands. What do you think about Paige's hand?
Paige's hand looks pretty. It really needs a second land to work out. However, 1 mana with 2/1/1 drops isn't bad. Ryan's hand looks really good. It has all the colors that they need. It has all the pieces that they need, and definitely some threats. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Paige mulliganing there. It's really good. Nurturing Pixie is such a cool card. You can reuse anything that has enters the battlefield abilities.
Yeah,
Really
that
valuable.
resolute reinforcement seems really good. Or if you just want to play that Emma Days Recruiter, bounce it back, give everything haste again. Not a bad idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ryan, I definitely liked that opening hand. It can be a little tricky at times to get all three of your colors when you're playing this deck, especially when you have a bunch of one drops and you have one drops in all three colors. So technically, with the Marge of Swirling Mist, if you're exiling.
Now, Paige is in an interesting situation here. Ryan has that reasonable doubt in the hand. Um, Given that this is open decklist, and Paige should know at this point that a reasonable doubt is very much possible here with 2 open mana. So Cavern of Souls may be very valuable here, and very clutch, depending on what Ryan holds up.
Yeah, I always found it an interesting inclusion in um, the Convoke decks that Cavern and Souls. Most of those creatures are humans, but sometimes it's a little tricky to get your mana with the Cavern and just get it out there with those.
Yeah, this is really good tempo right now. The reinforcements being countered, as well as the chorus gaining menace. Ryan is not interested in blocking with that crawling chorus, so getting menace is perfect. It targets a creature, so Paige now has 1 poison token. So every single proliferate card in Ryan's deck is now activated. That's pretty good.
Yeah, when I look at these toxic decks, for me the pivotal numbers are 1, 3, and 10. 1 so you can proliferate, 3 so you're corrupted, and 10 so you win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they never talk about the secret poison of 15 poison, where you get a brand new car.
Oh
This is not
no.
true. I am lying right now.
I've been playing wrong this whole time apparently.
Clearly you have. You have not been trying to get a brand new car. Darn. Nurturing
Okay.
Pixie not returning anything is very nice, actually, because Paige needs those creatures to do things. Paige needs to attack. Because if Ryan is able to get more than like 2 or 3 shots, the poison's going to be overwhelming.
Right here, Ryan could technically phase out 3 creatures, 2 of Paige's, 1 of their own, but chooses not to.
Ooh, Ryan, I think, is 1 poison away from winning the game. That's so unfortunate because the attack for 3 is 3 poison, and a March of Swirling Miss can be 3 more poison because of 3 creatures, which takes Paige to exactly 9 poison. And what I was describing earlier is happening. Ryan cannot block very well at all. Ryan is a go big or go home list. So unfortunately, this one looks like it's going to be in Paige's favor.
And this is interesting because right now Paige could, or Ryan could phase out 4 of Paige's creatures, which
Yes.
would let her survive, but you're not getting the value that you want off of your own poison since you have to target your own creatures.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I guess yeah, phasing out Paige's creatures here is good. And then once Ryan, if Ryan were to draw another March, then yes, this would be a game-winning situation. In fact, a Serum Snare would be winning.
Yeah,
It's
there
actually
are
good.
multiple outs that Ryan has here to win this game. It's going to be a very close one.
Absolutely. If Ryan draws a single proliferate or targeting spell.
Oh, going
Oh,
to 1,
exactly
phasing out.
one.
Yep.
The
Because yeah, the
math.
2 and 2, it's spicy going down to 1, but life is a resource and Ryan used it to her advantage.
Yeah, you know what? I guess I forgot that you can target multiple players' things. That's completely valid strategy. That's why we love March of Swirling Miss. It's not even used, like the phasing out is almost secondary to the targeting, but the phasing out definitely helped in that game. It would not have been a win otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan going down on the Skrells hives, a little bit too slow in this matchup, and every life counts. So when it comes out and it pings you, it's not great for this matchup. So all 4 of those coming out. It looked like some counter spells coming in.
Yeah, and those tokens can't block, so amassing them kind of slowly isn't going to help.
Ooh, Paige put in bring into the festivities, so that's a sweeper for most of Ryan's board.
I really, really like End the Festivities here in this matchup. I think it's a fantastic addition, and it basically kills everything Ryan has except for the Raw Priest and obviously the Contaminators, which are from the sideboard.
I do love Bloated Contaminator.
It's,
A big body for 3. It's a great card. Great card in
it's
that
strong.
deck.
Yeah, it's a strong card. I mean, it's it's value more than the sum of its mana, and then on top of that, it gives you upside because of course it has to give you upside. Why wouldn't it give you upside? It's a 3 mana 4/4.
Ooh, Paige brought I think the Thalia was in the sideboard and that it came in, making Ryan's spells cost 1 more. The tax there, that is gonna be huge in this matchup, I think.
I do really like it, even though it makes End the Festivities in the case cost 1 more, because Ryan is now having a harder time playing these counterspells, playing these like these Serum Snares are all an extra mana. Um, the Augury is an extra mana, so it's just really hard to get anything happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Paige tends her deck is definitely more creature heavy. Like obviously the case and in the festivities are, non-creature spells, but she's trying to do all these creature spells and just force damage anyway. So setting Ryan back on the non-creatures is far worse than setting herself back for non-creatures.
So this Contaminator is really good, especially because a creature has died, which means that the case doesn't actually kill it anymore. This is really clutch for Ryan because if Ryan is able to land 2 of these Contaminators down, that's actually going to be the clutch blocker that they need in order to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. With the resolute reinforcements, there is now enough, but the case cannot be played the same turn. So I think the Vanquish the Horde might be the right go here because Paige is out of gas in terms of creatures. And
I
it's,
Yeah, I agree. Vanquish the Horde looks really good right now and very, very tempting.
there always is the option of the second contaminator. So there is at least one blocker whenever, it comes around. But yeah, I think I would just wipe that board. And that is what Ryan is doing.
Yeah, and it's risky to attack because if Paige trades some creatures for that 4/4, the Vanquish the Horde is no longer castable. So Ryan has to be very careful about this.
Thalia's gone, so you no longer have to pay your taxes. Thank you. All right, second contaminator hits the board.
Ooh, this is interesting. That Novice Inspector means it's actually really difficult to cast Imodin's Recruiter because there's no second mana to pay for the tax. Paige is thinking hard here about, does she play the Imodin's Recruiter right now or does she not? Alternatively, she could play End the Festivities in case of the Gateway Express, but again, a counterspell shuts that down.
Yeah, and it looks like Ryan's debating whether or not to use the counterspell here, or I'm assuming it's going to be used here to keep that contaminator alive.
Yeah, absolutely. This makes a lot of sense.
And that's in a way this is kind of a 2-for-1 because you're essentially making Paige spend 2 spells and not even removing your creature.
Absolutely. I mean, this virtual card advantage is definitely very nice. Ooh, the token is suspected. This is interesting because now the token has menace, which may prove to be problematic later if Ryan tries to block anything.
That card, do you have to suspect a creature or is it an option? I'm not super familiar with that one.
A reasonable doubt is suspect up to one target creature because if you wanted to play it as a counterspell with nothing on the battlefield, it would be impossible to cast without a creature. So in terms of design, it's definitely nice that it says up to one. You do not have to suspect anything. It is not mandatory.
All right, good to know because I think if I were in Ryan's position, I may have opted just to not suspect anything.
Yeah, it depends. This is a
Yeah.
rock priest. This is a nice draw, but it would have been nicer last turn, unfortunately.
True, true.
Ooh.
Well, there is enough mana for the reinforcements and the recruiter. Ryan is at 12, so this is going to be really close.
Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, that's a counterspell.
But
Here's
yep, counter spell.
here's a play that Paige could have thought about, could have done that is interesting would have been interesting to see is to play the recruiter first, and then in response to it entering the battlefield, playing the reinforcements. This is something in yeah, to keep in mind. It's very interesting.
Oh, this will get another
Oh,
poison counter on Paige's side for the target. Is that? Oh no, no, it's not a. It's a. This is not a instant or sorcery.
it's not a spell. Yeah, Rot Priest triggers only on spells, not abilities, unfortunately. So the case doesn't actually do any poison. You can also just kill your opponent. That's also works.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, that was a really quick game 1 and 2, so let's see game 3 how this one ends. I love these aggro matchups, but they're aggro in different ways.
Absolutely. This one, Bant Toxic is going to be going first here. So we're going to be seeing it's going to try really hard to be on the upswing the entire game. And if it loses it again, like in that last game, it's going to be really unfortunate.
Mhm. Paige checking her options, trying to decide. Looks like the Lorn coming out. I think was it the fourth case coming in? I think that was a good choice. That the cases did a lot of work in that last game. And then Ryan just running it back. Oh, yeah, I was looking at Ryan's hand and double Mirrors. That's rough. This looks much better. Paige keeping her opening hand. Got a 1-drop, 2-drop. Seems like a pretty strong start for Paige, especially when you draw a Gleeful Demolition. That Voldaren up here coming down. That blood token gonna be great fodder for the demolition to hit.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really devastating turn one, turn two, turn three from Paige. I can foresee this Warden coming down, a Gleeful Demolition coming down, turn afterwards, case of the Express coming down, End of Festivities coming down. It's just a lot. and Ryan's going to try to counter it, but it's not all going to come through, I think.
Yeah, and this I think when I asked what, each player's, ideal starting hand was, this is pretty close to the one Paige described.
Yeah, the thing keeping Ryan alive is this gonna be this counter spell on the Gleeful Demolition for sure. Um, if that's countered, it's gonna be really, really good for Ryan. Because Ryan doesn't have to worry about Amadeus Recruiter coming down and dealing, I don't know, 12 damage to their face.
Oh yeah. I'm interested to see if Ryan is going to draw a third mana because that's going to be kind of important um, in order to be able to play some of those other spells and not get stuck. There is the
Oh,
Murex
there it is.
getting that first poison over on Paige, getting that chorus down. Still no Imitating's Recruiter from Paige, so, while Paige is building up her board state, the pump and the haste has we don't have that in hand just yet.
Yeah, this is a tricky situation, but I'm not really sure who has the advantage bar right now. I want to say it's Paige because Paige has the board state and Ryan has absolutely no way to deal with it. They're not holding up a counterspell, unfortunately, because they just don't have one. Um, they're going to have to find some tricky things to do with the resources that they have available to them right now.
Absolutely. Especially with this Nurturing Pixie, can bounce the reinforcements back to hand, recast it, make another token. It's Peach has some good stuff going on.
Yeah, and it enters as a 2/2 because it gets a counter when you bounce something. So that blocks the 1/1s really well, a lot better than if it was just a 1/1.
That Serum Snare is going to be nice, especially with the Proliferate.
Here it comes.
Alright. Ryan does get a 4th mana, but I believe that one comes in tapped?
Yes, this is accurate. Unfortunately, Ryan is not going to be able to do that many shenanigans right now. Um, but that crawling course is going to get in there.
Unfortunate that Ryan did have to ping themselves in order to give the chorus protection, but we are up to 4, and, Ryan does still have a healthy 13 life.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how Ryan wins this game. The snare can take it to 5. The two creatures take it to 7. I think Ryan needs to draw a Venerated Rock Priest if they want to get anywhere in this game. Without that, it's going to be really hard because Paige has a 3/4 there that's going to be bashing in, and this End of Festivities is absolutely devastating Ryan's board. Um,
Absolutely. I don't think I used the march here. I think I just serum snare and yeah, because the crawling chorus will at least leave a 1/1 might once it dies.
yeah, that might be pretty good for Ryan.
I love terrible jokes. All right. Well, I if I'm in Paige's position, Ryan, that might can't block. So, do you just go ahead and swing everything here, or do you play out the reinforcements, tap a few things, and give the warden another counter? No, just going ahead and killing that might.
I think as long as Paige is dealing 6 damage a turn, it doesn't really matter what Paige does. You can pump the Warden by tapping creatures and artifacts, or you can just attack with it with the other creatures. As long as you can kill Ryan, it doesn't make much of a difference. And I think the math doesn't matter very much because Ryan doesn't really have blockers to worry about. This Contaminator is unfortunately a few turns too late, but even if it was down, it would have gotten hit by the case. And Skrelv just can't block, so it's just a
Yeah.
rough situation overall.
Unfortunately, I think the only option Ryan had to stay alive there was keeping the March of Swirling Mist up and phasing out Paige's creatures. But even then, um, that Ryan was on the back foot and it just wasn't going to be enough against Paige's giant board. But
There it
very,
is.
very good match, very strong effort. Congratulations to Paige. I believe this makes it so that she is in wild card territory now. Ryan was at 5-1, Paige I think was at 4-2, so I think Paige may move on to the wild cards. I think both of them will. So congratulations.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Paige literally went 0-2 to 5-2 to finish out the round robin of the season. So that's an amazing feat and so hard to pull off.
Yeah, we call that a good old comeback story. I mean, that Boros aggro deck was extremely good there, and that just happened to be a really good matchup as well. It just everything seems to align very nicely. Very well done.
Great job to both players. You both played amazing this season, and can't wait to see you in the final, like in the coming weeks. All right, let's head over to our second match of the evening. We've got Ollie Davis on Temur Analyst. Give us your deep dive into these analyst decks.
Wouldn't it be cute if I went 7-0 with 7 different decks and used each color 3 times? That's what's listed here in terms of the deck list. I think this is a really I love Teamer Analyst. It's such a cool and interesting combo deck, and if you don't have Graveyard Hate, it's actually pretty oppressive. It's pretty difficult to deal with. You have to kill the Nissa. Um, Basically, you get a Nissa down. It's Lotus Cobra of the set. You play a land. You get a mana for free. Aftermath Analyst returns all your lands from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you return, say, 8 lands to the battlefield, you get 8 mana for free. The second time Nissa's ability resolves, you get another elf. So you get a ton of mana to work with. You get Virtue of Strength to triple all of your mana, since the only lands that actually tap for mana in this deck are basics. And then you win the game with World Soul's Rage by hitting your opponent in the face for 6 million, which, as we all know, is slightly more than 20 life. We have just a lot of really good pieces here. We have Board Wipes, Ill-Timed Explosion. We have a lot of really good draw, Memory Deluge. You got some really interesting pieces. You have Shigeki, so you can technically go infinite. Not infinite, but like the recursive engine goes forever with a Virtue of Strength and Shigeki situation, in case the virtue gets countered. It's just really good overall.
Yeah, this is a great deck. I think it's so much fun. In some ways, it's a little like playing solitaire, but who doesn't love solitaire? Um, but no, this I just want to say this is Ollie's first season ever playing the VML, and they have gone 6-0. So that is amazing. Congratulations already. They have already locked the top spot in their division. So even if this match does not, pan out in their favor, they still had an amazing round robin, and they will make it to our top 32, not next week, but the following week. All right, let's go see Ollie's opponent. We have Sylverfyre on Boros Convoke. We may have just seen some Convoke, but this is going to be a very different matchup from our last game, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You've seen Trigger on the stack, and I would like to take game actions. Now it's time for let's make some rectangles. And rectangles we will be making because of all the tokens that are going to be here. One key card that you've seen in this deck that it was not in the last deck is War Leader's Call, a really cool anthem effect that also hits your opponent directly into their face every time you play a creature. And this triggers on creature tokens as well. So this has a really strong potential to be also very good and very oppressive. It has an
Definitely love
extra
an
Cavern of
anthem.
Souls as well.
Yeah, an
Sorry, go
anthem
ahead.
plus impact trimmers. It's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly. Just put 2 cards, take 2 established cards, match them together, take away a mana, boom, you got yourself a rare from Murder of Karloff Manors. There you go.
Love that. All right. Well, let's get into the match, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Watching from Ollie's side. Okay, this is going to be an interesting hand. The Maestros that gets blue. It's what is it? Blue, black, and red, I believe. So no green mana, but Ollie's still going to keep it.
It's not horrible. Ollie has a lot of lands in their deck. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 2 is 20. Yeah, Ollie's playing 30 lands in their library. Drawing lands is not a problem. Getting the right colors, however, is. So Ollie not having green could be a problem. This ill-timed explosion, however, is actually going to be extremely clutch. It's going to draw through some cards, it's going to wipe some boards, and get rid of those stupid little tokens that they have to deal with. Sylverfyre has to play very carefully here not to commit too much to the board. They know that Ollie has 4 ill-timed explosions in their library, and so must reckon with that idea. They also know that Ollie. So Silverfire has to make a decision. Do I commit everything to the board on turn 2, turn 3, or do I keep a couple things just in case the ill-time explosion comes down? How much can I wait before I start hasting it up?
Yeah, that's always going to be the difficult part here is how much do you let Silverfire build up their board before you wipe it? Because those Boros Convoke decks are very resilient. You get one Knight Errant of Eos and your hand is full again. And then you're just going for your next board wipe. And, there's only so many ill-time explosions. Granted, the World Soul's Rage does help, single target removal and gains a lot of life, but you definitely have to figure out when the opportune time to play each of those cards is.
I don't think World Souls Wage gains life. Oh, are you saying with the sack lands? Yes, I
Yeah,
understand what
with
you're
all
saying.
the
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
inadvertently gains you life with all the lands you bring back.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. If you return like 7 sacrifice lands, you're making 7 life. Now, this is a moment. If Silverfire has Imodane's Recruiter in their hand right now, I think Silverfire is going to be in a very strong position. But if Ollie Davis gets that ill-time explosion down in time, um, it's going to be really hard for Silverfire to get there.
I think I might have overlooked that, but I didn't realize Ollie was playing a plains in their deck.
Yeah, it's for the single copy of Ilishnorn. Uh, it's really interesting choice to have Ilishnorn. I really, 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 really like it though, because Ilishnorn doubles the Nissa landfall triggers. It also doubles the Aftermath Analyst mill triggers. It also shuts down stuff with Enters Battlefield abilities such as Novice Inspector and other things like that. So there's a really, really strong like upsides to Ilishnorn. Might as well play the one. The mana is really, really good. You can get it down. I like it.
Makes sense. I like it. Yeah, I might have made the slide, but might have also not looked at the deck as close as I should have.
Yeah, you're fine. I think it's really, really cool, like tech. And it's not always the most useful card ever, but it's pretty good.
All right. Oof, this silver does only have one card left in the hand, but that is a giant board state. So one Imodane's recruiter off the top. Well, I would need a mana, so know, maybe we're all in
Yeah,
on that warden.
Ollie Davis really wants to draw a copy of the Virtue of Strength because that Virtue is 7 mana and will kill the Warden. Nothing in Ollie's hand kills the Warden anymore, unfortunately. So they're going to have to reckon with that 5/6 flyer pretty much right now. I like
Reckon
this
to play
Explorer
the
that's happening.
land from
Sorry.
the hand. I like it
Yeah.
because next turn, as long as that aftermath analyst stays on the board, that is a lot of lands that Ollie can just snap right back to the battlefield.
I can see the argument to get back all the lands. I'm actually surprised Ollie isn't at a lower life total right now. But I think the wiping the board, at least of all this like little tokens, is a higher priority. I would be tempted to try to get all my lands back if I'm in Ollie's position, but the chances that Silverfire draws a land and plays slams down an Imodane recruiter with all those creatures out is too much of a risk. And I think it would be very devastating if that were to happen.
Yeah, that's very true. It's a tough decision or a tough place to be in and some hard decision making on Ollie's side because yeah, do you risk letting Silverfire, doing all these scries and searching for that Imidanes, or do you do the maybe slightly risky thing of just getting your lands and setting yourself up for a future turn?
Yeah, this warden is getting so big that it might two-shot Ollie, depending on what Silver does. Like maybe Amadeus Recruiter isn't even necessary anymore.
Yeah, I think you have a good point there. Ooh, Ollie's taking a
Five
look at
lands,
that graveyard to see their options.
yeah, 5 lands in the yard, an ill-timed explosion can discard Shigeki and deal 2 damage so that the Aftermath Analyst is kept, but all the other things die. There's a Nissa. Oh man, this is a hard situation.
Gonna get rid of that memory deluge as well. Not a
That's
bad
a 4
choice.
damage. Yeah, that's 4 damage to everything.
Yeah,
So
it's
the Aftermath Analyst is gonna die here.
yeah, unfortunate. I think pitching the forest and would have been the correct move there.
Maybe it depends, right? Because I think Ollie's trying really hard to get this Nissa to go off. Like Ollie can play Nissa, then play a forest, then World Souls Rage and get back another land, and that can potentially be really good.
Ooh,
That's
one HP in a dream.
Yeah, this flyer is going to be a big problem.
Yeah, because this frillback could gain some life, but it's not gonna be enough. That's only 4. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a big old 7/8, and the only other 7/8 I care about is Hullbreaker Horror. So, facing down a 7/8 flyer like this, you can't even block it effectively. There's so much going on here that's really good. The World Souls Rage seems nice. Unfortunately, it's not going to get anywhere. I would be tempted to hit myself with it just for fun, just to
Going to
see.
yeah, gonna hit Silver in the face for 2. I don't believe this is gonna be enough. I think it's just,
There's some Nissa triggers. Unfortunately, it's not enough mana to Aftermath Analyst to victory. Um, Ollie really needed that Aftermath Analyst alive. I think that a board wipe of 2 would have been a lot better, unfortunately. Because the Aftermath Analyst would have really been nice and clutch to have on the battlefield there.
mhm.
Because the 4 mana can be used, and you can get a bunch of mana from that. And the Shigeki could have been theoretically discarded or something. Like there's woulda, coulda, shouldas, I suppose.
Yeah, there were some lines, but to be fair, it was a real that 7/8 flyer, that was a hard thing to come back from, so,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
there's not a lot you can do about that, unfortunately. Ollie's deck is not prepared to deal with something like that. It literally cannot kill it unless like you have a big World Souls Rage. But really, if your World Souls Rage is that big, you should just be killing your opponent with it. Unless for some reason you have like a billion lands on the battlefield.
Yeah, I completely agree, like, you absolutely don't wanna be hitting a creature for 8 when you could just hit your opponent for 20.
Yeah.
Alright. Brought in a at least 1 negate, it looks like, and taking out a virtue. I think maybe the frillbacks came out as well.
The virtue is interesting here because it being 7 mana, it's the only thing that Ill-Time Explosion can reliably discard and basically kill everything. It's an interesting choice. You only need one World Souls Rage to win the game. Ooh.
Ooh, well, the Broker's Hideout does go fetch the green source, I believe.
If it's a mulligan. Oh, Vampire's Vengeance is here though. That's kind of nice. Although it's not turn 3 unless Ollie draws a basic land. But it has the removal.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Vampire's Vengeance does not kill Voldaren Epicure because Voldaren Epicure is in fact a vampire.
Those dang little vampires sneaking into these Boros Convoke, mostly humans decks.
Yeah, it's like where did all my little human friends go? All the people I get blood from. That's so weird. They just disappeared. Whoa.
I think
Bottoming and Nissa.
this is interesting. I think I'd almost personally pitch the fires here.
Maybe, but this is probably being pitched because Ollie values the fires of victory. Ollie's just, the last game we had a big old monk coming in through. So Ollie's thinking, I need to deal with that thing. If I don't have a way to deal with it, I am going to lose this game. And they're
Yeah,
all
that's
tap lands. So unfortunately, it's going to be pretty hard to get anything to work out. There's that
very,
red.
very true.
Shigeki may be coming down turn 3. Being a 1/3, it does not die to Vampire's Vengeance, which is pretty clutch, I think. Ooh.
Oh, don't. That's not great for Ollie when Silver gets a peek at their hand and can make them discard
I think that's
or
Vampire's
exile.
Vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna get taxed. I think the Vampire's Vengeance is probably the thing that Silver's gonna take. Being a 3 mana board wipe that board wipes almost all of Silver's deck, you definitely want to delay that by a couple turns. Ollie's
Absolutely.
playing ramp, so that's not usually a problem, but it's definitely nice to have.
I would agree with you. And Silver, taking their time, making sure they're making the right choice, but decided to go with the World Souls Rage instead. World Souls Rage does potentially get multiple of these. Um, basically, they're kind of like fetch lands, but slow. But I still don't know what we call these. The SNC sack lands. All right, a forge coming out.
I do like Forage a lot, actually, because it's a creature that doesn't get killed by a board wipe. Ollie does not seem to have any obvious way to kill that. Um, the Tranquil Frillback is the only thing in the entire deck that kills this. The negates were not able to counter it; they were brought in. Uh, I don't know if the other Frillbacks were brought into the deck actually, but
I
yeah,
actually think that there were 3 frillbacks that were moved to the sideboard, so I don't know if Ollie even has any frillbacks left in their deck.
that's yeah. So at this point, it's a race because that forge is going to keep going up and up and up, and it's going to be like 5 eventually. Oh my god!
Oh, what's better than
Well,
first forge, second forge?
man, if you really thought one wasn't enough, two, look at those. Now there's 2 tokens.
Oh, do you Vampire's Vengeance here to prevent the Gobakon? I think that's what I would be doing right now. I would hate to use that, but I think that's what needs to happen.
I would be tempted to do so as well. If the fires goes on a creature, unfortunately, that Gobakon is going to flip. But the upside is that the Gobakon doesn't pump the tokens because the tokens leave at the end of the turn. But
True.
unfortunately, this Gobak, I guess they hit the face, so it's actually fine. The Gobakon flipping would be really bad, but I think right now it's actually not the worst.
This
The forged tokens have trample though, I think.
They
Sorry, go ahead.
do, they do. This is actually looking pretty good for Ollie. If that aftermath analyst can stay on board and go get go uh track down some more or get sacrifice and replay those lands, that'll be a fair amount of life gain. So this War Leader's Call, not great when you have 2 forges that are, anthemed and trample. Oh, this is so nasty, I won't lie. But Ollie may be able to hang on, gain some life. It's gonna be hard though.
Yeah, Ollie doesn't have any obvious ways out of this, as far as I can tell. The Avenger's Vengeance is going to be quite clutch, actually, because it'll allow them to survive 1 extra turn. But this invasion of Gobakon, unfortunately, gives all the stuff indestructible. So it's actually not a guaranteed solution. In fact, it's just countered. Um,
Going to let the Gobakon flip. Luckily, right now, just the tokens. There's no hard permanents on Silver's board, but still not great. That's still not great when you see that over on Silver side.
yeah, if I'm Ollie, I'm thinking I have 2 turns. This upcoming turn and the turn afterwards. Ooh, that's really nice. That's really, really, really nice, actually. That's like the best possible draw, I think.
This is yeah.
Because now the Nissa can come down and the next turn the analyst sacrifices. You kind of have to just play it out here because you don't win otherwise. Like, Ollie does not have enough mana. Ollie does not have the sacrifice lands at their disposal right now to get extra mana with Nissa, unfortunately. So they can either wait a turn and try to draw a sacrifice land so they can get that 4 mana to sacrifice the analyst, or they can just play it now and just hope that it's not going to die. If you look at Sylverfyre's list, there actually isn't that much direct removal. Destroy Evil and the Festivities get lost. They're all sideboard cards, and all the creatures in the deck, like Case of the Gateway Express, only works if there's a lot of creatures on the battlefield. It doesn't actually do anything else. So really, I think the play is just to get this Nissa down and hope that Sylverfyre can't kill it. Because I really think it's just a necessary card that needs to land.
It looks like Ollie is electing to get the Shigeki down, hold up the Vampire's Vengeance to try to wipe the tokens, but the Gobakon sack would prevent them from dying, so it's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think Ollie's trying to play into the idea of I can probably get a Nissa down next turn, maybe, and
Mhm.
just hopefully draw a sack land. It's hard though, because Silverfire is going to win in like 2 turns if unanswered.
Yeah, those forges. Oof, getting back-to-back forges on Silverfire and having the War Leaders call, that's that's hard.
This Imodane's Recruiter is so clutch as well. Like, it's so good to have that haste right now. And then Vampire's Vengeance is looking really sad. Unfortunately, not doing anything at all. Um, is this
Yeah,
lead?
it's it is really sad now that the anthem pumps up the actual permanent creatures.
Yeah, and I think this is actually very close to being lethal.
9, 10,
Um, it's exactly 12 damage coming in, and then next turn the Forge is going to be pumping. It's going to be getting damage to the War Leader's Call. All he's only out is to draw a Sackland right now. Oh, so close. Oh wait, no, Force. Hold on. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. Let's
we
see.
play that, Nissa, sack the Analyst, get back a bunch of lands, and now that the Gobacon's gone, the ill-timed explosion or actually the World Souls Rage could hit. Oh, this is gonna be hard though, because with the War Leader's Call and both of those um, forges, the damage may still just be enough.
It might be. I'm not sure. I think the explosion is not going to be used to board wipe. I think it's just going to draw 2 cards here. I don't see how it would be used to board wipe because right now those Urbas Forges are the thing that's going to be killing Ollie. Like it's just not going to.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it's a lot of green mana that's happening. Now it's blue. Now it's red. So we got some stuff going on. Analyst number 2 comes down. Yeah. Mills 3 cards.
Okay.
2
So,
lands. So nice.
all right. Ollie has already climbed from 1 up to 6. So let's see how much life they can gain. They have, I believe, gotten almost all of their basics, but these still still gain you the life when you sack them, whether you're getting a basic or not.
Yeah, the life total, Ollie's life total is actually kind of skyrocketing right now. There's a lot going on here. The only issue is that they're actually running out of basic lands in their deck, which is one of the issues that the Temur landfall decks have, is that if they combo off too early and they get too many lands out, they actually can't get lands later for Nissa's landfall triggers, which is what's so important about it and why it's in the deck. But Ollie's gonna have a lot of mana to work here.
Yeah.
Is that enough to kill? No.
But the taxes, no,
Not
unfortunately.
even without the taxes. That's 17 mana, which is 15 damage without tax. Oh no, it's 1 short without the tax.
And then what are the numbers on the Urabras Forge? We have it'll be 5 and 4, so that's 9, 10, 11. That'll be 11 damage even if Ollie were to board wipe.
Given
The World Soul's Rage will gain Ollie more life.
it can't be 15 because the tax, so it has to be 13. Yeah, okay. So 13 damage is coming in, and then all of those sacrifice lands are going to come back. So
Mhm.
Ollie's actually going to gain life here, which is pretty nice, and gain 7 more
7 more
mana.
life. Up to
Yeah.
20.
The ill-time explode. Yeah. So this is what I was saying. Like if Ollie had more basics in their deck, they would be able to get those Nissa, sweet Nissa triggers. Unfortunately, these competitive sacklands, they do not give you a choice as to when you sacrifice them. You must sacrifice them instantly. Um,
Mhm.
this ill-time explosion might actually be really important. It depends on what Ollie draws.
There is still one blood as well.
Village are virtue of strength. They're wiping the board. I would be tempted to not. Like you can return a creature, like you can return Shigeki, then play the virtue and then get value that way. Yeah, I like that. I guess I don't know. I guess I would want to return the Norn's in the hand, so there's that. Discarding Norn? Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. Ooh, a land.
I think you have to play the virtue, and I think you have to go get the Shigeki. Or
It
not.
wasn't used. This is interesting. I mean, maybe that one mana might matter. All he has to do is get back Shigeki and then get back a World Souls Rage, and then that's the 3 damage necessary. Um,
Mhm.
I guess Ollie doesn't want to play their hand too much, because let's see. Well, Sylverfyre doesn't have graveyard hate, right? So Sylverfyre doesn't actually have to worry about like whether Ollie doesn't have to worry about graveyard hate hurting their graveyard. Ollie just has to live a day or live a turn.
I think if Silverfire has an Immodanes, that is game. So this is a very pivotal moment to see what's going to happen. They did draw 2 cards, one off the clue, one off their draw for turn. Sokenzen. Okay. 2, 4. This, I think this might actually be it. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe this is enough. Yeah. Wow. The Sokenzen for the Sokenzen with the war leader, the
Oof.
anthem.
Yeah, that's. I want to say it's exactly enough. That's actually not true. It's slightly over.
Mhm.
Dang, so close.
If it weren't for the 2 war leaders pings for the Sokenzen tokens entering, Ollie would have been able to survive one more turn, but that was such a close game. That I definitely was biting my nails in that game too.
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. When you're playing these Temur Analyst decks, it's really important to think about how many basics are in your deck and when you want to combo off. If you if you don't put enough basics in your list, you can't fetch them later. But if you don't have enough fetch lands, you can't combo off. So it's a really difficult situation. And yeah, that was like if there were 3 extra basics in that deck, Analyst wins that game. But there weren't, and it's hard to say if that's the right or wrong choice because in another situation, having more lands would actually hurt you even more.
Yeah. And then
It's
also that
difficult.
Gobakon, just the 2 man attacks from that Gobakon, it's
Yeah.
still we needed that one more land to get that last 3, but even that 2 mana, whew, was such a close game. Congratulations to both players. Ollie still managed to lock in that top spot in their division. So congratulations. And I believe that win against Ollie will push Silver into either the wild card. I think it's the wild card. So congratulations to both of them. We will see more of them in the weeks to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, are you ready for game number 3? I know we talked briefly about this one before
Yeah.
we got started tonight. I'm excited for this one. So let's go ahead and
Well,
take a Look.
Yes, I'm very ready for this.
All right. So we have May KawaiitRiot on Simic Merfolk. So a little background at the very beginning of season 12, May and their opponent had a just a little agreement that when they would play their match this season, they are both known for loving Merfolk. So they said they would bring their best Merfolk decks to have a battle. And so that is what we are seeing here. May is still in contention for the wild card. So this is a Merfolk do or die. Kuro, please tell us about this deck.
Man, okay, so uh, here's the thing about Merfolk. Merfolk is actually the new tier deck. In standard, everybody should be playing Merfolk now. It's very powerful. You see, you have some really good one drops like Senna Scout. You have some really interesting explore shenanigans. You can get card advantage by drawing some lands. You have other support like that. Deeproot Pilgrimage can get you there as well. It gives you lots of tokens. It's pretty reliable. Vodalian Headscatcher works really well against some of the removal spells that you might see from Esper lists. And there's a lot of, you have tribal support with Cavernous Souls as well. All in all, it's a well-rounded deck with a lot of value in it.
Everybody's favorite Tashana's Tidebinder also makes an appearance in this deck.
Absolutely. Shutting down planeswalkers, shutting down other abilities like in a mirror, shutting down a hex catcher is nice. Shutting down other things. You can shut down,
Did the
yeah, you
Deep
can
Root
just.
Pilgrimage also get shut down by the Tidebinder?
It does for a turn. However, unfortunately, it does not lose abilities because it is an enchantment. Tidebender only takes away the ability if it's an artifact, creature, or planeswalker.
Ah, thank, thank you for that. All right. Well, we've seen May's list. Let's go over and see May's opponent, Olive, also on Simic Merfolk. Surprising. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Olive's list and how it differs from May's?
Yeah. So, yes. This deck has a little extra spice in it. It has some Kitesail Larcenous to potentially turn things into treasures. It has a Mistway Spy even if you want to draw some extra cards. It's a 1 mana 1 with flying even. You have some value here, and it has some of the same pieces such as Senate Scout and uh, Jade Light Spelunker, and it has that Explorer sub theme that Merfolk have, and a bunch of the tribal elements of it. But it has some extra stuff to give it a little bit of an extra edge. A place that it make disappears to counter some stuff. Not sure how useful they're going to be in the mirror with some Cavern of Souls shenanigans, but overall, very excited to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, me too. Well, are you ready to just jump in? Dive on in, as the Merfolk say?
Yeah, I mean, this deck has been in like tier and standard for the past 4 months, right? Like, I mean, we know all about this.
All right. Well, May definitely that was a one land or a one mana, so throwing that back, this was like a much better start with the Cavern of Souls on Merfolk to be expected.
Kawhi taking away the restless vine stalk in favor of having untapped lands. I think it's a really interesting choice, but I really like it because now this curve is really good. A deep root pilgrimage into a second deep root pilgrimage into a Senate Scout, making tons of Merfolk creature tokens. This Misway Spy allowing potentially to get some investigations happening. Oh, it's when it turns face up. Okay, never mind. It's just a 1/1 with no abilities. That's okay though. It's still good because you're getting all these extra tokens with these enchantments. Second pilgrimage is it's just going to go
Oh,
absolutely crazy. The Lord on the
absolutely.
top.
I would say Quiet Riot's popping off with Merfolk over there. That seemed like a great curve out, and I think being on the player draw for this. Not sure what they're trying to draw over there, but we'll see maybe later. But yeah, I think it's very important for this deck with such a low curve. If you're on the player draw, it's going to matter.
Yeah, unfortunately, Olive doesn't have quite the oppressive board state out. The Deep Root Pilgrimage is very good on the offensive, but on the defensive, it's kind of okay, unless you have like a 1/1 flyer, for instance, there. Um, Kawhi, for this reason, Kawhi can actually just bash in with everything and not worry about it because so many tokens are being made, it doesn't really matter that this Senate scout is going to get killed. Olive has this shooter, which is really nice. It's a big beater, but it does not go wide, which is a big issue. And
Yep.
there's a Lord.
And Olive did, you know, play out like crewing the schooner and blocking there, did play around the hex catcher really well there. Um, but still, that's so much damage pushing through.
Yeah, Olive is getting some explore shenanigans coming down. The Nikanzel is popping off. It's getting some value. Unfortunately, it's doing a turn too late because I think if this value had been happening like on the last turn, maybe would have been enough to combat these tokens. But unfortunately, not having that early board state is going to hurt. And this Medallion Hexcatcher being a lord, very very nice for
Mhm.
KawaiitRiot.
Yeah, that's 4 damage in the air that can't be blocked, and another 10 damage can block 6 of it. So this, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8. Gonna leave Olive at 1 HP in a dream.
What HP in a Dream. That's the name of my new rock album, actually. I'm coming out with it next year.
Oh, you have to drop me a link. I'll listen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We do
I
have a Tidebinder and a repulsive mutation, but I don't think that's enough. I just don't think that's gonna get there.
Yeah, Kawhi was definitely on the play. Having that tempo on the play is really nice. Tidebender is going to counter this, but those flyers are going to get in there. And the mutation was unfortunately a little bit too late and was not able to counter anything.
Mhm. Well,
Such a
it
sad.
was a fun match. I do love how aggressive this deck was. I'm sure, there are plenty of pieces in some of the other meta decks that maybe play around Merfolk, but this was a fun and spicy game one. I'm excited to see what game two is going to look like with Olive being on the play.
Absolutely. Peachy's going to have to think really hard about how can I deal with those deep root pilgrimages. Um, Witness protection to turn merfolks into not a merfolk is actually a really strong play. Pick your poison is a really strong sideboard piece here. 1 mana to kill those pilgrimages. Uh,
Do you think
wait.
the witness
Oh, I'm thinking about the
protection
wrong list. Sorry.
is
That's the
the
mirror. Smile. Um, no, I think this, yeah. Let me recalibrate a little bit. I think currently Kawhi's deck is very well in line to win this matchup because those pilgrimages will get there. Um, Unfortunately, it looks like Peachy does not seem to have. Oh wait, there's a couple pick your poisons. Yeah, those are definitely being slammed right into the deck. Gonna be killing those deep root pilgrimages. Get that mana advantage too because that's 1 mana for each opponent to sacrifice something. That's really, really strong. Um, Notice she's taking out other counter spells too. Counter spells not so good in this matchup but because of the aforementioned Cavern of Souls. Um,
I just love the name of the deck, A Gentlewoman's Agreement.
I I definitely like it. It's good lore for the VML as well. Like we could write a Wikipedia entry about this.
We don't often get games where it's just like fun decks because, the VML, we pride ourselves on being a very competitive tournament, but this has been really fun. I'm really happy that we've gotten to see this. Ooh, going down to 5 on Quiet Riot's side. That's a little rough, but we have 1 drops and it can get to that 3 drop. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying that we get to see a fun, and I would say this is still a very competitive matchup. That last game, it it smacked down.
Yeah, Spy's coming down and threatens essentially to have a turn to a deep root. Um, Wow, the I don't know why I'm blinking right now. It's crazy. Deeper Pilgrimage coming down turn two. Unfortunately, that's not happening, but the Hex Catcher is going to do its work as well as a Lord, and that Sentinel is going to come down turn three. Going to start creating some map tokens, exploring all around the town,
I
getting some
I love
value.
the Sentinel. I love that it has vigilance. I don't know if it's gonna necessarily make or break it, but just having something with vigilance on your board as a blocker and getting the pump from the hex catcher, it could help. It could do something. And
Yeah, it's really
wow,
strong for sure. And it basically draws her through her deck. If she's about to draw like 3 lands, the exploration allows her not to have to worry about that. There's a deep root pilgrimage, but she does not have the blue to cast it. because that
No,
restless
because
vine
you
stalk.
put the vine stock out, but it comes in tapped. So do you do that or do you play? Yeah, it's a hard choice, but I think that was the right one to make.
Yeah, it's difficult because if she wants her curve, she can't play the vine stalk too early. But the vine stalk not being down means that she doesn't have blue. So that pilgrimage isn't going to come down for a couple turns. This is going to be the tempo swing that Olive is going to need. Olive has more lands, more cards in hand, and potentially really big creatures coming her Kawai's way.
Absolutely. Because yeah, this hex catcher, it's not gonna be big enough to flash out and kill anything. Because I know, Quiet Riot's not gonna block with that hex catcher. You don't risk it. But did get the untapped blue. So it can start sending in the Mistway Spy and hopefully making a few more merfolk on the ground.
Absolutely. Ooh, interesting. There's a hex catcher.
Right.
Now, casting that at that moment is really interesting because it means that Kawhi can attack knowing that there's that Lord is down. But Olive could have waited and see if KawaiiTriot wanted to like over reach with the creatures that are currently in play. Olive could have played that potentially to like double block or kill it or something. Um, that repulsive mutations looks real nice. X equals 5, giving something 5 counters and countering a spell. That seems really, really nice right now. Um, it just requires that KawaiiTriot actually plays something, and we'll have to see.
Yeah,
It can
it's
also be. Oh,
I think Olive's just gonna cast it to just get the counters.
yeah, it looks like it. You do not have to counter spell. The counter spell is optional. The +1/+1 counters is the thing that is mandatory. You must put counters on a creature, but the counter spell is optional. So this is a 7/7 that's gonna bash face right now.
Oh, the hex catcher though, you can sack it to counter, and
Yes.
unfortunately, PT Olive did tap himself out, so she cannot pay the one.
Yeah, the ability is not counterable by the Vodalian Headscatcher because it's an ability, unfortunately. What a play by KawaiiTriot. Um, this uh, this Hexcatcher coming in clutch with those tokens from the Deep Root Pilgrimage. Everything's just working together with good synergy.
Mhm. And that Sentinel just getting in. I won't lie, I do think the vigilance is important here. I'm gonna see if there's a land or non-land. Ooh, that's not a bad non-land on top. Especially when you're gonna get another counter because you already know the Tidebinder's there.
Yeah, that Tidebender is going to be real good because if you shut down the Vidalian Hexcatcher, it loses its abilities. And the Tidebender makes you lose all abilities, not just the activated ability that it counters. So if the Hexcatcher is countered, it loses its lordship. All of the buffs that it gives goes away automatically, which is hilarious and amazing.
Oh wow, that Tidebinder, it sounds like they're overthrowing the government, the
Very
Merfolk
true.
government.
Removing your lordship, taking it away. Unfortunately, the hex catcher is only going to lose its abilities by being countered if it actually uses an ability. And as long as Kawhi isn't playing an instant or sorcery, that's not really something that Olive is worried about.
Mhm. I'm gonna go ahead and send that Sentinel over though. All right.
Well, that
Deciding to put the map on the flyer. I like that move because there's not too many options. I don't know what PT Olive has that can handle that flyer. That Cenote Scout, not gonna do it.
Yeah, Olive not having a block for the spy is really unfortunate. And exploring into a land is also unfortunate because she really needs some of that like buffs. The Tidebender can counter the like Agatha Soul Cauldron or the Schooner. So unfortunately, like those are gonna get shut down. Quaitrat just drew like the counters. So Olive would have to sacrifice a lot of creatures just to not die. Because that spy can get 3 counters and just win the game.
Yeah. I think this might be the pivotal moment for this game. All right. For the Hex Catcher, is it only sacking the Hedge Catcher or can you sack other merfolk?
You can sack any number of merfolk to counter this spell. So Olive can theoretically just sacrifice 4 merfolk to counter that spell. However, that would be really bad value, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because yeah, so um, however, this flyer is 3/3 flyer is just going to get there. Um, oh, random fun fact about this hidden the restless vine stalk. You can actually turn your opponent's creatures into 3/3s. So when it attacks in as a 5/5, your opponent's creatures become 3/3s, which allow you to attack into them safely. Very cool thing about this card. Anyway, what a cool Merfolk matchup. I can't wait to see Merfolk a lot as a tier deck in standard going forward. I think that was a really good illustration of just how oppressive Merfolk can be because you have a lot of good card advantage engines and you have a really strong Lord. You have a strong enchantment that gets you extra creatures. You have 1 mana, 1/1 flyers that get upsides. Um, and it's just, yeah, it's just really good.
Yeah, I mean,
I
and
like it.
being in blue, you're also in the land of counter spells, so you can also try to set your
Yes.
opponent back on board while you just grow your own. So that was a very pleasant, treat, something we don't see too often, and I hope we see more often. I hope that their little, merfolk matchup inspires more people to bring their fun brews and play. Because
Yeah.
just because it's a fun brew doesn't mean it also can't be competitive. So thank
Yeah,
you.
next week the meta is gonna be 80% Merfolk, and then it'll be like 10% everything else, and the last 10% will just be all the one-offs, and it'll be like, wow, we really shook up the format this time. This is just all blue, green, Merfolk mirrors. We're
Trendsetters. I
all
love
gonna
it.
take notes. We're all gonna learn about how good blue, green Merfolk is now. It's just tier.
Well, thank you so much to Peachy Olive and Quiet Riot. Congratulations, Quiet Riot. I believe that gets you into the wild card round. So we will see you next week. Maybe. We'll see who else is there, but there's a good chance we'll see you next week. All right. Are you ready for the last game of the night, Kuro?
Let's do it.
All right, let's roll right in. We have Kate on Dimir Aggro. So tell us a little bit about this Dimir deck.
Yeah, so Demir Aggro, we're sort of away from we're moving away from the sort of blue green Merfolk. We're going back to stuff that we're a little more familiar with. Um, blue black aggro is really nice. You have a lot of flyers. You have Spyglass Sirens, Deep Cavern Bats, Fairy Masterminds. You have Gix as effectively a coastal piracy, allowing you to draw a card every time it hits, which is very easy to do because there's so many creatures that you have that can easily just hit. Um, and then you have really good value with the removal. You have cut downs. You shoot the sheriffs even. Being go for the throat, being sided out for in favor of shoot the sheriff. I think an interesting choice there. You even have sort of dark confidant in other terms, caustic bronco coming in and potentially dealing lots of damage by drawing all those extra cards. All in all, a very well-rounded card advantage deck with a strong sideboard that can deal with pretty much any threats.
Awesome. I do love a Snorse deck. If it's got a bat and a Snorse, I'm usually pretty happy. All right. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about this matchup as well. So, Division 15 it's a fun division. Right now, there I believe is one person that I think is 6-0, and then I believe the next four people are all a 3-3 record. So there's going to be, I believe, 2 4-3s after this week, which will put them into wild card contention. And depending on how breakers work, I believe either Kate and let's move over to Kate's opponent, Kora, both have a chance of making it into the wild card. So I the VML is always a little bit interesting because we work off of division play. Um, just because you have an X3 record does not necessarily knock you out of making it to the finals. And I've seen some people that have gone you know, you know, 0-3 and bring it back and go all the way to the end of the finals. You never count yourself out for sure. So I'm very excited for this matchup. This Our last player for tonight is Kora, and she is on Esper midrange. Please tell us about Esper midrange.
Yeah, this deck has some similar stuff to the Dimir deck. It has deep cavern bats. It has fairy masterminds. But place where it differs is it has a lot more removal. It has go for the throats. It has no more lies as a counterspell. So there's a lot more of a control angle. There's even big threats like Aclazotz and a really interesting card that I don't get to see very often, Aurelia's Vindicator, a card that you can use to essentially destroy your opponent's battlefield and also potentially return your own creatures to your hand. Raffine is a powerhouse as usual, and only one Wandering Emperor, but also really good. Just an all around, well rounded Legends deck with one single basic land. Wait, two. There's two. There's two. I lied. I'm sorry.
Two
There's two. There's
pieces.
two. There's an island and a plains.
All right. Well, are you ready for the last match?
No. Okay, yes, now
Oh.
I
Well, we're gonna go for it. Yeah, we're there anyways.
am. Give me 15 seconds. All right. Oh, I like this hand on Kate's side. Look at that value. Fairy, Deep Cavern Bat, Caustic Bronco, Gix, lots of castable stuff.
I do always love seeing a bat on too. Cora deciding to mull that first hand with only I think it was two Mirexes. That's a risky keep, and I think she made the right choice of going down a card.
Yeah, and her she didn't seem to have anything super early game, so fighting against Kate is going to be kind of like fighting against an aggro deck. Kate's going to try to get under Cora's skin a little bit. She's going to get those little creatures in there. She's going to get a little flyer here, a little flyer there, and then suddenly Cora's at 4 life because she's been hit 38 times by a single little bat that took Cora's best card. So rest assured, Cora's decisions here and her answers are going to matter quite a bit in this matchup.
All right, here, do you take the go for the throat? That way, you take the removal, and then the bat just holds the removal the whole time, right?
Yeah, I would take the removal, knowing that the normalizes in the hand hold up the fairy mastermind for later, or even cast a creature right now just to force that normalize out of the hand. The problem is Kora is able to hold up normalize, and if Kate doesn't play anything, Virtue of Loyalty lands. So there's options that Kora has. Kate needs to recognize that and go, okay, I can attack with the bat safely because the fairy mastermind probably won't block. If the Fairy Mastermind's played, then I can land a Caustic Bronco for later. However, Kate is also able to hold up Fairy Mastermind, making Kora think about, do I use this? Okay, so Kate is playing into the Gnomoralize right now, basically forcing Kora to use it, meaning that Kora is not going to land any creatures and is not going to have a counterspell going forward. This means Kora is out of answers and Kate is basically just allowed to do whatever she wants.
Yep. Oh, Cora did just draw the bat, so now Cora gets to take a peek at Kate's hand.
Yeah, this is a redirect happening, a Uno reverse, if you will. I get to do something to you.
And it just keeps going back and forth. That Gix, currently a dead card in Kate's hand, can't doesn't don't have the double black to cast it. Does have the double fairy mastermind, but there's no real advantage right now because we're not drawing multiple cards. If Cora had a Rafine, I think I would consider playing the fairy mastermind, but I think I would just play the other bat here and take the virtue. What about you?
Yeah, I'd be tempted to take the bat. Holding out the Fairy Mastermind also makes sense because it's just really good value. But taking Kora's other card and making sure that Kora does not have gas is probably the most important thing right now. Because if Kora draws into a Raffine later, the more cards she has in her hand to discard, the more options she's going to have when she attacks. And you don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that that does not happen. That is a thing that happens not. I'm trying to think of any other way I could obnoxiously say that in a different way.
All right, Gix coming down. Gonna send that first fairy mastermind. Let's see if Cora allows it to connect. But I think yep, the Tide Binder. No card for Gix.
No cards ever for Gix. Gix has lost all of its abilities. You cannot discard cards, steal cards, you cannot draw extra cards. This Tidebinder needs to die right now. It has locked down this Gix.
Oof, yeah, getting in, and the bat begins to grow. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say you don't really want that land, but at the same time, you want your bat to get bigger, so you do just have to get rid of the fairy mastermind there.
This mastermind coming in clutch, though, Rafine being out is actually kind of a double-edged sword for Kora. Kate playing a fairy mastermind will be able to um, draw a lot of extra cards since Kora conniving counts as the second card drawn. This fairy mastermind is going to come in clutch here in this matchup, I think, because Kate's going to be able to draw tons of extra cards with these fairy masterminds in play.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
really
say this
like
is kind of
this.
tricky because you don't love the idea of letting your opponent connive, but at the same time, oh, that was a terrible draw for Cora. Um, your
Normally,
opponent
it would. Sorry,
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say your opponent conniving in this circumstance is actually good because your fairy mastermind also draws you cards.
Yeah, and Kay has some choices here. She can shoot the sheriff this the restless anchorage, which would be really good. She can also shoot the sheriff the deep cavern bat in response to prevent Cora from drawing cards. However, I think the temptation would be just play fairy mastermind, get another two cards out of this. Like Cora's drawing some connive stuff, but Kate is drawing cards just normally, which is great.
Interesting. Keeping the cut down, like I agree, keeping the cut down is the right choice here. It's just yeah, because now you have the shoot the sheriff. Cora doesn't have a backup Rafine, but oh, that is a big old bat. It's a very big bat on Cora's side.
Yeah, this bat needs to die to shoot the sheriff, unfortunately, which means the Tidebinder cannot be shut down. Oh
Okay,
no! Oh no!
that is the
Oh,
worst
that's
thing. That yeah.
devastating 2 for 1 right here after drawing cards. At least Kate was able to draw cards with the Fairy Masterminds, but that is so rough. That
Well,
is so rough.
this Odawara can at least reset the bat, but you're also letting
Oh,
okay.
it it can reset the bat, and then Kate is just thinking, I'll just draw 3 cards right now and bounce the bat to the hand, so I'll only take a few damage points. These Gix is going to draw a bunch of cards. Wow,
It's
we didn't
it's
have enough. We
a
really
big
needed
Gix
more.
party, huh?
I'm sorry, did you say you wanted another Gix in your hand? Get Gix in your life for the low cost of 3 life a pound.
Alright, Spyglass Siren, get a map, and yeah, just keeping that Odawara just hanging out.
Yeah, it depends on what Rafine's going to target. If Kora attacks and then targets the bat to connive, Kate can just go, okay, I'm going to bounce it and make sure you don't get any draw, and I get to do a lot more. Um, okay, so this
Collecting
anchorage.
the
No.
anchorage here. I think that is the correct move since the anchorage is a lot more difficult to interact with since it goes back to being a land, so it has to be animated for these removal spells. But I think you still just want your bat is to be bounced, right?
Well, the bat has a caustic Bronco on it, but more importantly, the bat has the lifelink. And Kate might be thinking, how do I work this in such a way where I can try to win this race? And that involves sort of dealing with the bat, I think.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, gets the Bronco back, but unfortunately, will also result in a Cora looking at Kate's hand again. The Siren can block actually, which is a choice I would consider because the more life Kate has, the more Kate can use Gix to draw cards, which means the more potential to draw a shoot the sheriff for this restless anchorage that's going to be coming in. That is not what Kate does, though.
Yeah, and I do
Interesting.
like that the bat here can't be replayed because just don't have the mana this go around. So we'll have to at least delay a turn.
Yeah, this is interesting. I don't know. Oh, the deep cavern bat does gain life when it hits, though, so it's not the end of the world. But it's almost the end of the world. This is a lot of value that Cora's going to get.
Right. Sending the team. I think I would be tempted to keep the Spyglass Siren back as a chump blocker for either Rafine or the Flyer because one of it they are Cora's going to connive and one of them is probably going to need to be blocked. That duress, I don't think that's
It's it's rough, but it's not the end of the world because Kay has 8 cards in her hand. Like she's not complaining right now. The issue is definitely not drawing enough cards. It's potentially not having the answers to win the game. The Rafine plus the rest's anchorage is very problematic right now. The Rafine can connive on itself, so any creature that hits Kate immediately wins. If Kate does not have removal, this is especially bad.
on the plus side, Kate can flash out that fairy mastermind, so there are going to be at least two blockers in the air. They would both just be chumping, and you'd have to flash it out now before the deep cavern bat has a chance to take it. Um, she could make disappear to force Kora to, yep, to try to tap out on all the mana. Would not be able to animate the land.
I think that is the correct choice actually, because this land animating is really bad. So Kate was able to she had to 2-for-1 herself, but that's okay because Gix has drawn a bajillion cards. So it's not a huge issue. The Seraphines can trigger, so Kate's gonna draw some cards with this Fairy Mastermind. Very nice, very nice. Very nice.
At this point, I think you just pitched the planes and the other Rafine.
Yes.
Again, we're in the same position as last turn. Cannot play that Deep Cavern Bat because we don't have the mana. But Kate will survive another round.
I would be really tempted to just discard my hand to Gix and steal Kora's deck at this point by paying 7 mana. I'd be really tempted to just say, I'm going to try to steal your Go for the Throats and just win that way. Or even just attack with the Bats and Gix and try to get value there.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, Kate is having a hard time drawing removal for these Flyers. And if those Bats die, Kora's going to get a lot of her value back.
this is a tricky spot because the bats are your potential blockers to keep you in this game, but you do not want Cora to get those cards that are in your hand. So, oh, this is a tough one.
Absolutely. I Kate's in a position where she has some options, but it's hard to say what the actual correct ones are. Um, I would I'm tentative to say that I really want to see Gix be activated um, to steal Kora's deck. Um, None of these cards help, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Oh
does he do
no,
it? Oh no.
there's just no removal, and there's no Field of Ruins to deal with the anchorage. There's no removal to deal with the Rafine. Like honestly, with Kora's list, there isn't even a Shieldred to try to get. There's a Wandering Emperor, actually. Wandering
Oh,
Emperor
we got the Wandering Emperor and
and an Acklesotz.
Akazats.
Oh my god. This is perfect. This is like the perfect draw for Kate. This virtue is going to come down, untap all creatures. Wandering
This
Emperor is going to come in.
wow. Isn't that magic fun?
This is clutch. This is everything Kate needed. Might I remind you in a sorry, in Kora's deck, I want to remind you really quickly, Virtual Loyalty is a 2 of. One of those is currently under a bat. Acklesotz is a 1 of. Wandering Emperor is a 1 of. So Kate just hit basically all of the 1 ofs in the deck that could have helped her in that exact moment. What a clutch victory.
that was
Absolutely incredible.
that was such an exciting game one. I don't often get to see the Gix ability, but when it happens, it's usually very satisfying or very disappointing. There's usually no in between.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just wonderful to watch that happen in real time.
All right. Over on Cora's side, what do you think she brings in here to help against Kate's board?
I think something I might think about is just more cut downs because a lot of Kate's deck dies to cut down. For that reason, the let's see, what's the uncounterable thing called? It's called long goodbye. Long goodbye. There's a reason why that could actually be good. It can't be countered, so no counter spells. There's no way that a counterspell would be able to affect it. So make disappears does nothing about that. And it's mana 3 or less, so it hits almost everything. Um, I would be thinking about more Tidebinders actually, because a Tidebinder shutting down Gix was really good. Tidebinder can also shut down Deep Cavern Bat and take away its abilities. So it becomes a 1/1 with no abilities. Very, very nice. Another Wandering Emperor, I would even be tempted to say is a good idea, just because it's such a good value engine that can exile your opponent's creatures very efficiently and also make your own creatures really difficult to deal with. Because what Kora has on her side is having really big creatures. Kate has breadth. She can make a bunch of little dudes. Kora has depth. Kora can make a big creature happen. So we're just going to see how this plays out.
All right. Well, for the reverse, this time Cora has bat on two as opposed to Kate having the bats. So she will take a little peek at Kate's hand. What do you take here? I think I personally am on the Gix. Yeah.
Absolutely, Gix, 100%. Even though the go for the threat's there, Gix is so threatening that even one single turn of Gix living is just really, really bad.
All right. Got the first Explorer pumping up our sirens and gonna get another siren in another map. Having a counter spell on top that's known about, not always the greatest, but it's okay to still have a counter spell. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just Kora can play around it, and part of the strength of counterspells is the bluffing aspect of do you know if I have one or not? Do you think I have one or not? Taking that away means it's basically just another removal spell you're playing around. And if you know your opponent has it, you're gonna make sure that you are playing around it. Like you're gonna play into it with the spell that you don't care about and try to bait. Um, you don't need to think about trying to outplay them. You just know it's there. And if you just play like just put stuff in, play into it. Might as well.
All right. It looks like Kate was going all in on the spyglass siren. I think trying to maybe get it out of cut down range. Um, but it doesn't look like obviously drew the land, so it didn't matter. Cora electing to use the Aganjo.
Yeah, that channel end is gonna get there. It's pretty good.
I'm gonna be very sad when Kamigawa rotates out.
I know I lose farewell. This is so ridiculous. I can't believe this.
All right. We're gonna go ahead, remove the spyglass siren, playing around the make disappear.
I think this
Oh,
Mirix might be okay. Cora knows that she can't play the Aclazats, so this Lord Skitter's going to come down instead. And unfortunately, Kate has no way to deal with this. This is going to start making a lot of tokens in a very, very scary speed. I really like it, actually. I think Lord Skitter's great. It's good. Graveyard hate, it makes tokens, it makes waffles for you, goes to the store, drives you places, just it does
old
everything.
reliable Lord Skitter, the
Old
sewer king.
reliable. Exactly. Exile your graveyard, make your pancakes, eat a cheeseburger.
Just does it all. What doesn't Lord Skitter do?
Lord Scooter does not do your taxes, I'm very sorry to
Oh,
say. Um, yeah, you gotta find something. Yeah, just do your
you gotta
taxes
rely
yourself.
on Thalia for taxes.
This is true. You gotta go Thalia Ltd. Esquire Limited. Ooh, I really like this Preacher of the Schism right now. It's a 2/4 Death Touch with a bunch of extra abilities that are really nice to have. So Lord Skitter's not attacking anytime soon. Not now, not ever.
Yeah, unfortunately, those rats can't do much with them with this preacher on the board. The preacher eats rats. It's canon.
Yeah. So this enchantment is baiting out the Make Disappear so that Aclazotz can be played. safely. Unfortunately, it does die to Gix's command, but it does remain a land, so it's actually not a huge problem.
Mhm.
Or you can just shoot the sheriff and just kill Acklazotz that way.
I was
That's
gonna say, Acklazotz is not an outlaw.
no, it is not. It is a big old demon, but not. Or sorry, it's not even a demon. Acklazotz is a bat,
It's a
bat god.
god.
Yeah,
Bat god.
yeah. It's beginning to feel like a bat god, bat god.
It's weird. You can't kill god with a gun.
You
Weirdly enough.
can't, but you actually can. Did you know? You can just shoot it right in the face, and it'll turn to a land. Uh, that's what I learned at summer camp.
Magic. It's fun. Some interesting things happen.
So these preachers are going to start coming in. They can't be killed by cut down. Lord Skitter can't block it safely. This Geeks' command is really nice. Can make Kora sacrifice the Lord Skitter. This Deep Cavern Bat is going to get hit by cut down, I think, but it doesn't really matter that much because now Kate goes, okay, here's the green light.
Taking a peek. No counter spells to be seen. So I'm gonna go ahead and send these breachers in. Make a couple 1/1s.
Yeah, these tokens are actually going to be really, really important because now Lord Skitter can block, or it can be blocked. Wow, Ravine.
This is really interesting because you get the Rafine. If if you're Kora, do you just send your whole board and draw as much as you can?
I think draw 5 cards, discard 5 cards, and pump your bat to obscene proportions is pretty insane. I fail to see how this is bad. And then you draw all those cards. I can't even see the last one. There's too many things. I think it's a go for the throat or a cut down.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you keep the new deep cavern bat. Take Kate's Gix's command, and unless Kate top decks something really good, it's smooth sailing for Kora right now.
yeah, the deep cavern bat's gonna get really huge. It's gaining a ton of life, so Kate is losing the life loss battle. Cora's winning the card advantage. It's actually not card advantage, but it's card selection, which is effectively card advantage if your opponent's drawing lands only. Uh, so she's winning that battle. She has more creatures than Kate, so she's winning that battle. The only thing Kate really has is those creatures, but those are meant to attack. They're not meant to block. They don't really do much. Kate's
Gonna
thinking I
trade
have to
off
get
these
rid of these
1/1s for
tokens.
some rats. Yeah, because that second bat's gonna come out, and then depending on next turn, we may see Acklazotz re-enter.
I don't think Kora needs Acklazotz anymore, actually. I think it's sort of a secondary thought to this Rafine coming in. Oh, well, shoot the sheriff is cool.
Rafine, also not an outlaw, but the
Hit the
bat.
bat, get the Gix back. Yeah, that makes sense. You want to make sure that you can get Gix down safely. Creatures can definitely attack, and silly little 1/1 is coming in as well, because why not? Doesn't matter, it can't block.
All right,
It's
let's
two
see what
hits.
Kate draws here.
Ugh.
Okay, well, that make disappear is online, and we have the little 1/1s as fodder. One,
Ooh.
two, three, four. This would be enough to counter the Wandering Emperor.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if that Wandering Emperor's like using the Acklazotz Temple is probably going to be the priority here because it's just a threat you can just keep having around forever.
I agree.
Tokens are getting in there. You got +4. No,
Well, it's a lot of counter spells right to the graveyard.
Cora says no more to no more lies. She does not need 3 of them. Is a lot to work with.
Yeah. If I'm Cora, do I flash out the Emperor now, or do I wait for Gix to potentially
I
attack? Because I don't think you actually. Well, I take that back. If Kate removes Lord Skitter, I would probably send Gix in.
Yeah, so if Kate's thinking, I'm going to shoot the sheriff on Lord Skitter, then I'm going to make disappear, whatever. The only issue, though, is that that's actually not the play. Shoot the sheriff needs to hit the deep cavern back, because that flyer is going to kill Kate in one turn. And then
That's true.
once the deep cavern back goes away, the cruelty of Gix can act, sorry, Gix's command can actually kill one of Core's creatures and then give Kate's something like Kate's like +2 or something maybe. Give a lifelink maybe and have some options there. Or even get 2 creatures back if that's even an option for her. She's electing not to do that, however.
All right, sending the
Yeah,
preachers in.
Kay has a sixth sense for Wandering Emperors because, or actually maybe she just doesn't want to trade with Lord Skitter. But knowing that this Wandering Emperor is a potential is also very, very nice. Ooh,
I
Kora's
think
going to give
Forrest.
it first
Yep.
strike. Sorry.
Unfortunately, we know that that make disappear can come out, and it's easy just to sack one of those little 1/1s to give it the casualty.
Yeah, I think unfortunately Kate is always sacrificing a token here to kill the Wandering Emperor with the Make Disappear, then kills the Deep Cavern Bat so that Kora cannot just instantly win with a flyer. And I think this one's in Kate's favor. Like, it looks like Kate's losing right now, but that shoot the sheriff was really what Kate needed to win this like board state battle. Kora's not reactivating the temple, which I think is really unfortunate because that's a huge flyer that could do really well for her.
Yeah, it's this tempo play is definitely going to be turn the tide, but I think it still is a little too early to, you know, say who's going to win just yet, because Kate still is at 5 life, so there's still a fair amount of padding on Cora's life total. There is the Aclazotz that can come back, so there are still options.
There's a fairy mastermind for that conniving. Oh my gosh. Kate's just wow.
Yeah,
Just
Value
wow.
Town.
Value Town USA coming at you live. So that comes in. Connives on the Sylverfyre. No, the fairy mastermind needed to be cast there. Oh, Kate's thinking about that,
She
going, was
even
that?
said, "Oops." She realized what had happened.
I don't think it matters though, because it's only one, and Kora does not play burn. The most that Kora can do is play. No, there's only one Wandering Emperor in the entire deck, so yeah. I think Kora just reactivates the temple, right? No? Am I going crazy? Is the Temple of the Dead like is that a
I
is
guess
that not
with Cora
Source Speed
knowing
only?
that Kate has the Gix's command, maybe waiting to try to get Kate to play it out before trying. I'm not sure.
I guess, but the problem is that like that land taps to become a creature. So she has to tap it first before she can do anything else. Then it untaps the next turn. So she has to wait 2 turns. And if the Gix's command comes down, Raffine will get sacrificed instead, which is really, really rough. Ooh.
Right. Cora will draw a card. It's a land, unfortunately, so that does not help.
She's thinking, do I draw 2 more cards here? I would probably not. I think the bat and the Gix's command is sufficient.
Oh, going down
Oh,
to
a
two.
Shieldred!
This is really dangerous going down that low.
Would you do it?
Yeah, I would.
I think being a game up, Kate is actually okay to do it because she doesn't lose, and the difference between 2 and 1 is marginal. Yeah, that was a good choice. That Spike Off Siren is really nice here. Being able to block a flyer if Kora were to draw a removal spell. Oh, okay. Or you can just steal your
And
opponent's.
activating the Gix.
Kate's being a little silly right now, I think, just thinking about what spells can I steal from Kora's deck. Not sure how good it is, though. I think Kate's cards were legitimately better than what Kora could randomly have. Each player draws a card. And so Kate gets to draw another card. Tidebinder is there.
Oh, Kate said, "I'll take a Rafine of my own, thank you."
All right.
And playing the bat, so I can take that binder from Kora now. This
I
is
think that was really risky because if Kora had a removal spell and Kate didn't get a flyer, Kate always loses there. Whereas Kate had like a siren and a deep cavern bat as things that could easily have been used. It was definitely a risk, but it's a risk that's paying off because Kate does not lose at this moment. Um, unless Cora were to
but
draw a removal spell.
yeah.
Nope.
Well, also the Tidebinder can flash in, take them Fairy Mastermind down, make it
Yeah.
non-flyer, poke in for that last damage. So this is actually the winning line.
Oh, that's crazy. That's so good. That was
But
such a good play on Cora's part. My
you
gosh.
were right. But the difference between 2 and 1 didn't matter, but the difference between 3 and 1 did.
Yeah, so we're going to game three. Tishana to Tidebander, taking advantage of the fact that the Fairy Mastermind's draw clause is actually not optional, just to counter it and get rid of flying. Like that is dynamic thinking. That is using your abilities to the absolute fullest extent. Fantastic play.
Yeah, the Tidebinder removing the flying. Oof. That ouch. Tidebinder's a
I just
good
want to take a
card.
moment to
And it's a
notice that
merfolk.
that's true. It is. Merfolk are powerful. There you go. I
See?
always want to take a note to notice that the name of this Dimir aggro deck is called Green Black Midrange Cat Smiling Face.
I thought it was funny, when I was making the slides, I believe Kate did say that, she likes playing anything with black in it, and Mosswood Dread Knight just isn't that good anymore, which is why she didn't do Golgari and decided to do Dimir aggro instead. Rest
I
in
mean,
peace,
it's
Mosswood Dread Knight, apparently.
it's really strong. I mean, Dimir aggro is really, really strong. Black is definitely one of the best colors in the format right now, having a lot of the best removal threats and just disruption in general.
Nope.
Um,
Black just had me at bats.
bats.
Bats, bats, bats.
Bats. We're gonna get some more bats.
Sadly, no deep cavern bats. Oh, I take it back. Kora drew a bat. There is a bat in hand.
This Gix is looking kind of awkward, but the Mirix is going to be able to let the Gix be cast. But Core's thinking, do I play into a counterspell here? Kate could very well have a Make Disappear. And if a Make Disappear exists, Cora doesn't want to cast a spat. She decides, I'm going to anyway, play into it, I don't care. Let's do it.
Yeah, if I'm Kora here, I think I play yeah, take the Gix. It's easy. Well,
Well, we both had the same reaction. Just
yep.
take the Gix. Well, that's not happening.
Gonna
Oh,
gonna map the mastermind first to see if you just draw the land or not. I like
but
that.
well, I don't know, because now Kate can't cast Gix anymore. The Mirix is a one-use colored mana only. If Kate had played an island and used the island to use the map, then she would have had the Gix next turn. But unfortunately, now that's not an option anymore.
Yeah, I think
This
knowing that the fairy mastermind was on top, I would have played the island out instead. And because it still would have pumped up your mastermind, meaning it doesn't trade with the bat, and I would have saved the Murex this turn.
I think she's realizing what happened, and she's just sent an oops to
Yep.
Kora, which makes a lot of sense to me. Um,
It happens to the best of us. It's so easy to just, get a little ahead of yourself, play it out, and realize just a second later, like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that Gix would have been really, really nice to have right there, if Kate was allowed to draw one or two extra cards. Now she's kind of fishing for black. This does not have an active fairy mastermind. Kora mana screwed though.
Yeah, both players here struggling with their mana in different ways. Kora does at least have the colors to pit Rafine out. And Kate gonna flash out the fairy mastermind here. That was a good draw for Kate. The preacher coming out.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
it's not
won't
bad.
attack
And
into Rafine.
if Rafina attacks, then Kate gets a free card, which is pretty insane value. I think
You
it's
know
really
that
good.
Kora has the Tishana's Tidebinder, and as we just saw, that Fairy Mastermind is not a May ability, and uh, the Tidebinder can just come out and counter it.
Absolutely, like this is potentially really bad for Kate because she's down on cards. Her creatures are okay. They may or may not get there. This Preacher's Schism is going to draw a card on attacking, though. Kora has no removal in sight. Um,
Yeah, and if the Tidebinder comes out, Kora also, uh, you know, she can loot away one a card to try to dig for a mana, but you're still you're leaving yourself at one untapped mana potentially, maybe, and not even going to draw it.
there's another Fairy Mastermind, but the Tidebender is going to get rid of this Mastermind. Get it out of here. Oh, oh no.
Psychics, not hate to see it. Well,
Oh,
that's better.
a bat is not bad, actually, because that's going to steal Kora's best card. It's probably going to be Preacher the Schism.
Yeah, I would
Kate's
agree. It's a little weird because you also don't want Kora to. Kora has some good cards in hand, but getting stuck on that mana, not great. So do you just take the threats that are openly, what you can see and what you can know she can play? Or do you take the threat that might be played later on if she draws a mana?
exactly. I think, oh man, taking the Vindicator here is very tempting because it's a one of, but taking the Preacher I think is correct because the 2/4 break that bricks the other 2/4 is really bad. Kate wants to win that mirror. Kate wants that Preacher to come in and draw cards.
Yeah, plus Kate is already, kind of in the more advantaged position here. She has more flyers, um, and she basically has to attack with Rafine, leaving Rafine tapped if you want to get the connive because you can't really attack with that Tidebinder into a 2/4. It just trades and then the mastermind flies again, so it's just a worse off position.
Yeah, Cora's somehow at 9. I don't know if I like blinked and I missed it or if it's just because of Kate's little dingle dongles, but like Cora somehow like went from 20 to 9 in like 38 seconds. I think part of it has to do with that Caves of Koilos being a pain land, but also just straight up taking damage, I guess.
Oh, and unfortunately, another Caves of Koilos. So, wow, you can play it and you have untapped mana. That's not great. The pings hurt. Oh, it is tapped. Just kidding. This is a rough position for Kora.
Yeah, Cora has the removal now, and the Go for the Throat might be hitting the Preacher
Yeah,
because the
I
Preacher's the thing allowing Kate to draw cards.
I agree. It's really tough when Kate has two flyers. Oh no.
Kate's thinking if I can at least attack with the Preacher, I get to draw a card. This is not something Cora is going to allow, for the record.
Absolutely not. Kora does have to pay the one life to play. That Caves of Koilos has done so much damage to Kora this game.
It has, and Cora is sort of paying the price for it. Like Cora could easily die right now, depending on what Kate does, of course. Being at 4 life is no joke, and Cora's life gain is kind of marginal. The Gix's command for sure goes away, and okay, that not an untapped land, but the Vindicator coming down as a 4/2 lifelinker is probably just the thing that Cora needs to get back into the game.
Uh, yeah, because if you can only block one of the three flyers, but it's enough.
Aquazotz is now active. Cora has no removal for this. If Aquazotz trades, then Aquazotz simply just becomes a land and can be reactivated.
The wording on the Vindicator, how if Kate blocks the Vindicator, what happens with Cora? Like, what does Cora do?
Right now, in this board state, absolutely nothing. Aurelia's Vindicator is a 4/2 flying lifelink right now, with absolutely no abilities. The extra abilities are only if you disguised it and turned it face up.
Oh, that's right, 'cause it
Unfortunately,
exiles. It exiles when it turns face up, so it's just the life
yes.
linker.
This is accurate. It is just like your old Fiend Hunter, but it exiles stuff from the graveyard too, and it returns them to the hands. So if you want to exile your own creature from your graveyard, so that if you feel like you want to get it back later, you're fully within your rights to do so.
Nice. For some reason, I had it in my head that it was like the, um, what is that? 4 black mana Phyrexian, Obliterator. I had it in my head that it was like the white Obliterator, and that is not right.
No, it is not a Phyrexian Vindicator, I think it's called. Uh,
Phyrexian Vindicator, not Aurelia's Vindicator.
is that?
All these Vindicators out here.
Yeah, Phyrexian Vindicator. Uh, yeah, this is a trade. The Aclazotz dies. That's okay because it always comes back.
All right, and now both opponents, both players are at 10. Wow, this is definitely a great match to end on.
Absolutely.
And Gix shows up for the Gix party.
This is actually really clutch for Kate because these three flyers are actually completely allowed to attack in. Kora does not have anything to deal with this. Kate's going, I'm going to just draw some cards and hopefully I'll draw a black land, flip Aclazotz again, get some value there.
Absolutely.
This Rafine needs to die, but it's okay if, like, Kate just needs to draw a removal spell. Just one.
I think I send the whole team here.
I think the reason why Kate's keeping up the Siren is just in case Kora draws a removal spell for the Gix. Because Kate could just die if Kora is able to attack with two creatures here, depending on what Kora draws, I suppose. Um,
Mm.
this Otawara, very nice though. Being 3 mana can bounce the Tidebinder, or the
Oh,
or
the
you can
Shoot the Sheriff is great for Rafine because the Otawara cannot target Rafine because you can't pay the ward, but the
yeah.
Shoot the Sheriff, you can pay the ward for that.
Absolutely. It's really, really good draw, actually. This Restless Anchorage that just entered, no longer as much of a threat. But we'll have to see what Kora draws and what Kora does.
Do
This is
you
intense.
do you just fire off the Shoot the Sheriff now as a or, before the draw? Because that would be my biggest concern is I would want to try to do it before the potential of playing into a counter spell.
Yeah, I would be thinking a lot about ooh, nice Takenuma. Yeah, I'd be thinking about how to use my resources here as Kora. Like, I want to discard lands. I want to draw non-lands. But Takenuma is very nice. Unfortunately, it's a bit slow and expensive. So
I
it
was, I
may
was
not be the thing that she needs.
gonna say, what if you do channel the Takanuma? What would you even be trying to get? Would it be the Rafine?
It might be the Rafine, just because Rafine is such a good blocker. It blocks the bats really well. Uh, Kora just needs to get something to get rid of these bats. These bats are a pain in the side, and need to get destroyed. But as long as Kora can't kill them, they're going to continue to be value engines. Animating the anchorage is also a risk because if Kate has a removal spell, you just destroyed your own land, and that's really rough.
Yeah, here, if you're Kate, do you just send it all? And then, you know, it's difficult because the Otawara can bounce. It can bounce the land, it can bounce the Tidebinder. Um, this is not quite enough for lethal, but it is gonna be 3 damage. That's if Kora blocks, which I believe, yep, and she does.
Yeah, it blocks and kills the thing as a locking down anyway, so it's not that huge of a deal. Keep thinking, can I draw a land so I can flip this Aclazotz maybe? And there it is. Shieldred also works, actually. That's a really strong card right now, because Shieldred says, okay, well, if you want to try to draw an answer, you must do it right now. And you have no other choices.
Right. Well, I think I think the writing's on the wall. I don't think there's anything Kora can really do in this position to get her out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kora does not have the card advantage engines that she needs to win the game. The Ravine dying was really rough. The Bats taking away the Gixis command was really rough. There's just Kea has the board advantage and the card advantage now. Has even a make disappear if Kora were to say like try to play another big thing like her own Aclazotz. She would not be able to cast because it gets countered. Yeah, that's it.
Yep. That that was such a great game. Great job to both Kate and Cora. That was very well played. It was exciting, very good interactive back and forth. And congratulations to Kate for taking that one home. The Dimir aggro deck got there. Kuro, do you have any more words about that game?
No, I mean that was just a really good highlight of really like the amount that it differs when you pay one extra mana or you don't have an extra mana or you have like a bat or you have some card draw and just the sequencing of it and the removal and all the different resources to put together. That's a really good showcase of what high level magic looks like. Is just people going at it with their all, with all of the resources they have, um, trying to optimize every choice they make and doing really cool plays.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, congratulations, Kate. Your division's a little funky, so I think you might make the cut to make it into the wild card round. We'll have to see how those breakers look out, but great games, well played, and congratulations on your win tonight. Well, Kuro, this that was our final match of the evening. Again, thank you so much to Wizards of the Coast for sponsoring us. Thank you so much to Phoebe for being our producer and making this happen. And just thank you for the team, and obviously, Kuro, thank you for being here and casting with me.
It's good to be here.
Well, next week we have the wild card round. So all the top player in all 16 divisions, they get a bye next week because they topped their division, so they get to go straight to the top 32. The next 32 players are now going to battle it out to figure out who's going to get those 16 remaining spots in the top 32. So next week, come back, wild card week. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of really fun gameplay. You'll see Kuro again. So yeah,
That's right. I'll be here
thank you all
forever.
for coming out. And again, thank you to everybody, and thank you to the viewers. We couldn't do this if you didn't want to come out and watch us talk about Magic and watch it. So thank you as well. I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend, and we'll catch you next week. Good night.